She knows your name, but not from having met you, from having your data. The screen in front of you displays it in orange letters every time you hit a milestone, every time you set a personal record, and every time the algorithm decides that your output merits some type of acknowledgement. Your name appears on that screen. And then she says it. 47,000 people are riding alongside her right now, and she is somehow calling your name. She is not calling your name. She is calling the name that the platform surfaced to her display. But the distinction is academic to your nervous system, which processes being seen as an attractive, confident, physically exceptional person in a moment of physical effort as a social event with real social weight. And the dopamine response does not check the mechanism. It just fires. And she's telling you things about yourself that land in the specific way that a well-timed truth lands. It's broad enough to apply to anyone. It's delivered at the exact moment of maximum physical vulnerability. You know that moment when your heart rate is elevated and your capacity for critical evaluation has been reduced by 25 minutes of cardiovascular exertion into something closer to mind-altered consciousness. She is telling you that you are stronger than you believe, and that you have been through harder things than this hill, and that the version of you who started writing 3 months ago would not recognize the version of you that's still on that bike in 27 minutes. And these things may be true, but these are the things that she says to everyone. They're scripted, not in the sense of being dishonest, but in the sense of being designed to land for a maximum number of people at a specific moment in the class, which requires them to be universal enough to resonate across demographics and specific enough to feel personal. The scripting is the skill, and the skill is the product. And you believe her, not because you're credulous, but because your body is in a state that is optimized for receiving exactly this kind of content. And she's very good at delivering it. And the delivery system was specifically engineered to produce this moment. The exercise bike itself costs $2,000, and the subscription costs $44 a month. And you've been paying it for 2 years and 8 months. And you have never once questioned whether or not it was worth it, which in itself is worth examining. I'm April Rain, and this could be your guru. So welcome back to This Could Be Your Guru, the show where we examine modern prophets selling belonging, optimization, or enlightenment, and usually all three, and usually in some type of bundle. And this week, they're also selling a leaderboard that tells you exactly where you stand relative to every other person who is also paying that $44 a month to be in the room. We are in week 2, and this week's theme is the parasocial bargain, the specific exchange in which you give your attention, your emotional investment, your 6 a.m. mornings, and your credit card number to a person that doesn't even know you exist, in a system that has been designed with considerable precision to make you feel like they do. And last week we were at the wellness empire built on quartz eggs and aspirational femininity. This week we are on a stationary bike. The aesthetic has changed, but the architecture is identical. And today's guru is the fitness bike instructor. We all know the particular fitness bike. I'm not going to name any specific person. This is more of a role, a structural position. The specific intersections of fitness celebrity, motivational speaking, parasocial relationship design, and a $2,000 piece of connected hardware that transforms what used to be a community activity, which was the studio fitness class, into a solo experience with the full emotional architecture of a community. The solo but communal design is the platform's most significant innovation. It is also the thing most worth examining. Composite character throughout, structural critique. So let's get on the bike. Every guru needs an authority claim, and the fitness gurus is the most visible one available in the human toolkit, Because it's the body. Not the credential, not the research, not the institutional affiliation. The body. Your body. Because the proof is in the room, and the proof is performing. The proof is right in front of you, demonstrating that the thing being promoted is very achievable. Because the person making the promise has already achieved it themselves. This authority claim is ancient in a way that the Stanford credential or the celebrity brand is not. It predates institutions. Before credentials existed, before universities existed, and before the peer-reviewed papers existed, the person who could physically do the thing that you wanted to be able to do was the person whose guidance you sought out. Physical performance as an authority claim is so deeply installed in the human evaluative system that it bypasses that critical thinking apparatus almost entirely. The body is the argument, and the argument is very difficult to rebut. The exercise bike has a platform, and that platform's version of this authority claim has several layers, and those layers compound on each other to produce something more sophisticated than any gym trainer's version. The first is selection. The platform selects its instructors with extraordinary care, and the selection criteria doesn't only include fitness expertise, but it also includes the specific combination of physical presentation, verbal fluency, emotional warmth, camera presence, and the specific quality that experience with the platform has identified as producing parasocial attachments. You are not looking at a random fit person. You are looking at someone who has been specifically identified as the kind of person who produces the emotional response that the platform's business model requires. The second layer is production. The studio design, the camera angles, the lighting, the music production, the quality of the recording. All of this has been optimized through iteration and audience data to produce the maximum emotional and physiological response in the viewer-writer. The instructor's authority claim is the foundation, but it is mounted in a production environment that amplifies everything about it. The same instructor, filmed on a phone in a gym, would produce a very different response than that same instructor filmed on that platform's production studio. The production is part of the authority, and the production budget is part of what you're paying that $44 a month for. The third layer is persona construction. The instructor's personal story, how they came to fitness, what they overcame, and what practice has given them, is woven into the content with the care of someone who understands that the most durable authority claims are emotional as well as logical. The body is the logical component, and here is the evidence. The origin story is the emotional component. Here is why I can speak to you about where you are. And together, they produce an authority claim that is felt in the chest before it is ever evaluated by the head. And by the time the head has had a chance to evaluate, the parasocial relationship has already begun. The fourth layer, and this is the one that distinguishes the fitness bike instructor's authority from every other fitness claim out there. It's your name. She says your name. In a class of 47,000 riders, your name appears on her screen and she acknowledges it. The personalization of the broadcast is the final layer of the authority claim because it converts you from an audience member to a participant. You're not just watching someone exercise anymore. You are now exercising with someone, and they know that you are there. And the intimacy of being known by a person that you admire is the most powerful element of a parasocial relationship. And the platform has a way to manufacture it and at scale. That manufacturing is the platform's single most significant technical and psychological achievement. The sermon structure of the fitness bike class is not a metaphor. It is a deliberate and documented replication of the specific psychological and emotional architecture that religious experience uses, but it's applied to a fitness context. and it is delivered through a technology platform that allows it to reach millions of people simultaneously without losing the intimacy that the architecture works at all. Let me walk you through it because the structure is worth naming specifically. The class begins with a gathering, the pre-class setup, the instructor's warm opening, and the music establishing the energy of what is about to happen. This is the call to worship. It's the signal that ordinary time is ending and marked time is beginning. You have left the rest of your life outside. You are here now. And that transition is marked. And the marking of the transition is what makes the container. And the container is what allows the vulnerability. And the vulnerability is what allows the transmission of the content. The class moves through a structure that mirrors the arc of a religious service, with a precision that is intentional. Or it is the result of the platform discovering through iteration that this structure produces the best outcome and then it optimizes towards it. The warm-up is the processional, the gradual entry into the sacred space. The build is the teaching. That's the period where the instructor delivers doctrine. And the peak, well, that's the altar call. Maximum intensity, maximum demand, maximum vulnerability. The specific moment where the instructor requires you to go beyond what you believe possible. And you do it. And the doing, well, that feels like grace. And the cool down, well, that's the benediction, the return from the peak, and the blessing that you take back into ordinary life. The motivational content delivered during this arc has the structure of effective preaching. It is personal. The instructor draws on their own experience and struggle to establish that they understand where you are. It is universal. The specific challenge is framed as a metaphor for challenges that every listener can map to their own life. It points towards a future self that is possible, but you have to make the choice right now. And it is imperative. It does not suggest, it instructs. You will not stop. You will not give up. You have been through harder things. And the imperative is the sermon's closing move. It lands in a body that has been prepared by 30 minutes of physical exertion to receive those imperatives as truth. And the music? That's the liturgy. The platform's music creation and licensing represents one of the most significant investments and the most important product decisions. The specific arc of a fitness bike class, from the way the beats per minute track the intensity curve, the way the lyrical content aligns with the motivational message being delivered, the way the production of the tracks creates emotional peaks that coincide with the peaks of the physical demand, is liturgical design. It is producing a specific emotional and psychological state, and it's synchronizing that state with the message. Music in ritual context has been doing this across every religious tradition since the beginning of religious traditions. The platform hired music directors, and those music directors understand the mechanism. That mechanism is working. The specific theology of the fitness bike class, the claim that underlies every class regardless of what the official theme is this. You are more capable than you currently believe that yourself to be. The limit is not physical. The limit is a choice. And in this moment, on this bike, you can choose differently. And if you choose differently here, you can choose differently everywhere. And this is a real claim with genuine research support. The literature on mental limits and physical performance is very robust. It is almost unfalsifiable in the specific way that makes theological claims useful as commercial mechanisms. If you improved, the theology was right. If you did not improve, you did not choose hard enough. The next class is available though, and the subscription is active. The profit is also waiting. I want you to sit with the unfalsifiability specifically, because it is the feature that most clearly connects the fitness bike sermon to the religious tradition that it is clearly drawing from. A faith that can be disproven by outcomes is not substantial as a community organizing mechanism. The fitness spike's theology survives every single outcome because it has located both the credit and the blame in the writer. Your success, that proves the theology. And your failure, well, that proves that you haven't yet committed to the theology, because the theology is intact and that subscription is renewed. So the sermon will continue. The leaderboard is the feature that makes the fitness bike a subject for this show, rather than simply a subject for any old fitness podcast out there. Without the leaderboard, the fitness bike is an extremely well-designed exercise product with sophisticated context and a parasocial relationship structure that is sophisticated, but it's not unusual for streaming media. But with the leaderboard, the fitness bike becomes a social control mechanism operating inside what presents itself as a personal wellness practice. The leaderboard shows you, in real time throughout the class, I might add, where you rank among every person who is riding this specific class at this specific moment. Not against your personal best, but against other people, live, in the moment. And the rankings update continuously. The rankings are also prominently displayed on the screen that you are facing during the entire class. And it introduces the specific neurochemical cocktail that competitive social ranking has introduced in social animals for the entirety of the social animal history. And that is the simultaneous and irreconcilable drives to avoid failing and to rise to the top. So let me be specific about what happens in your body when you are looking at a leaderboard during a class. When your ranking goes up, you experience a reward response that is tied to social assent. It's a dopamine pulse that your nervous system generates in response to evidence of rising status within a visible social hierarchy. When your ranking goes down, you experience a threat response tied to social comparison. That's a cortisol release that your nervous system generates in response to evidence of failing status within a visible social hierarchy. And these responses are happening many times per class. Your body is alternately rewarded and threatened by a number on the screen while you are simultaneously doing 45 minutes of exertion through cardiovascular exercise. And that means that your heart rate is already elevated and your nervous system is already in an activated state. It also means that your capacity for critical evaluation of the signs you are receiving from the screen is reduced. The leaderboard lands in a prepared body, and that preparation is absolutely not accidental. The leaderboard is technically optional. You can hide it. That is true. And it is also true that hiding it requires the active suppression of attention that the screen is designed to capture, and that the community organized around the platform references it constantly, and that the instructor references it when calling out names and positions, and that your own competitive instincts, which exist because you are a social animal who evolved in a context where simply standing in a group had survival implications, that will all be activated in response to the social ranking context, regardless of whether the name is on the screen or not. Opting out of the leaderboard's psychological effect is significantly harder than opting out of the leaderboard's display. The shame mechanism of the leaderboard is worth naming directly and carefully. Shame is the experience of being seen as deficient by people whose regard you value. Not just embarrassment or disappointment, but the specific and visceral experience of public unworthiness. The leaderboard produces shame when your position is lower than you believe it should be, when you are being passed by people you consider yourself comparable to, and when your output on any given day does not match the identity that you have built around your output on other days. The shame is not proportionate to the stakes, because your leaderboard position has no external consequences. But the shame response does not require proportionate stakes. It requires a social comparison context, which that leaderboard provides, and a community in which the social comparison is meaningful, which the platform provides. The shame is real, and it is produced by design, or at minimum, it's sustained by design, because that drives engagement, and engagement drives retention. The community that forms around the leaderboard is genuine and complicated simultaneously. People who met as just usernames on a leaderboard have become real, actual friends. And the platform's community structure, the hashtags, the Facebook groups organized by instructor affiliation, and the group rides for specific occasions, they have produced genuine relationships and genuine mutual support during genuine life difficulties. And I want to name this specifically because it is real and because it matters to the people inside it. The community is not a performance. The community is a real social structure that the platform enabled and that produces real value for the people inside that community. The community structure is also organized around metrics in a way that makes belonging conditional on output in a very specific and uncomfortable way. The community celebrates ride counts and output numbers and leadership board position in a way that subtly ties belonging to performance. And the people who stop riding frequently, well, they don't lose the community immediately, but they do feel the attenuation of it. The way that the community's attention flows towards active participants and away from people who are quieter. And that's not through deliberate exclusion, but through the simple mechanics of a community organized around a shared activity. And when you stop doing the activity, the shared context thins, and the belonging thins with it. The community is real, but the community is also a retention mechanism. Both things are true at the same time, and neither cancels the other out. The Steelman is substantial, and I'm going to give it real time, because dismissing the fitness bike phenomenon would be inaccurate about what the platform actually achieved, and it would be condescending to the people from whom it genuinely worked. The fitness bike solved a real access problem. A high-quality boutique fitness class in a major American city costs between $25 and $45 per session. A committed fitness practice at those rates is going to require some disposable income, especially in today's economy. It's also going to require geographic proximity to facilities, a schedule that's going to accommodate those class times, and childcare or professional flexibility that allows you to be at a specific address at a specific time. And let's face it, most people cannot assemble all of those conditions simultaneously. The fitness bike brought the boutique studio experience with the quality instruction, the production design, and the motivational consequences into the home at a monthly cost. And that cost, amortized over time, is meaningfully lower than the studio alternative. For people with young children, for people in geographical areas without quality fitness options, for people with social anxieties or health conditions that make gym attendance difficult, for all of those people, the fitness bike was not a luxury product. It was the accessible version of something that had been previously inaccessible. The platform also made fitness emotionally accessible in ways that the conventional gym frequently fails to do so. The gym culture of visible performance, with the mirrors everywhere and the implicit hierarchy of bodies and outputs, and with the social dynamics of a shared space where your effort and your appearance are equally visible to strangers, that type of environment produces shame and avoidance in a significant proportion of the population that would actually benefit from regular exercise. The dark room, the headphones, and the instructor who is looking at the camera rather than at your body, the performance metrics that track your progress against your own personal history rather than against the visible bodies around you. These are genuine improvements over the gym model for a large population. Most people exercise regularly who otherwise would not have, and their cardiovascular health, their mental health, and their quality of life improved as a result. And those outcomes are real, and they matter. The parasocial relationship design, for all its manufactured quality, gave people who had struggled with fitness motivation for years the scaffolding that they needed to build a consistent practice. The instructor's warmth, the community's accountability, and the structure of knowing someone expects you to show up, well, these are not trivial motivational inputs. For people who have tried and failed to maintain exercise habits through willpower alone, that manufactured sense of relationship and obligation that the platform provides was the specific mechanism that they needed to make the habit stick. The scaffolding is manufactured, but the habit is very real, and the health benefits of that habit are also real. Because the fact that I can name the manufacturing mechanism does not make the outcome any less valuable. And now here is what the getting it right costs. And this is the part that the success story leaves out every time. The platform built something that genuinely worked for fitness, and in doing so, built a community and an identity structure that became load-bearing. Load-bearing in ways that exceeded what a fitness product should be asked to bear. People who came for a good workout found themselves, 18 months later, making significant life decisions around their instructors' schedules, feeling genuine grief when a beloved instructor left the platform, feeling that the subscription was an obligation that could not be canceled without losing something that had become more than just a service. The platform had crossed over from fitness infrastructure into identity infrastructure. And once it crossed over, all of the exit costs and social dynamics of the identity-based communities applied. The specific harm profile for people that the platform worked least for were people who adopted the fitness bike as an exclusive delivery mechanism for the exercise that was medically indicated for their health condition. And when circumstances changed, like financial stress, travel, equipment malfunctions, or the simple accumulation of life that makes any consistent practice difficult, well, the exercise stopped rather than migrating to an alternative. So the platform, in reality, had not built a fitness habit. It had built a platform-specific behavior. And when the platform was unavailable, the behavior was unavailable. The health intervention that the behavior was providing was also unavailable. And this is the specific difference between a tool and a dependency. And the fitness bike, for this population, had crossed the line. The business model is relevant to this examination because the business model is what shaped the product design, and the product design is what we are examining. The $2,000 hardware purchase is not the primary business. It's the entry point. The platform is a razors and blades model. The hardware exists to create the subscriber, and the subscriber pays the recurring software fee, and that is the actual revenue stream. $44 per month, multiplied across several million subscribers. That represents a business with economics that depends entirely on subscriber retention. And so, every design decision that the platform has made is therefore, at least from a business perspective, a retention decision. The leaderboard is a retention mechanism. It creates social investment and competitive identity that makes cancellation feel like losing a standing. The instructor relationship is also a retention mechanism because it creates parasocial attachment that makes cancellation feel like ending a relationship. The community is a retention mechanism. It creates social costs for exit that makes cancellation feel like leaving people who care about you. And the milestone system, the 100th ride, the 200th ride, the 500th ride, and each one of those being celebrated by the platform with a dedicated screen experience instructor acknowledgments, well, that is a retention mechanism. Because it creates a progress narrative with sunk costs that become progressively harder to abandon. Every feature that makes the product meaningful is simultaneously a feature that makes canceling the product costly. The meaningful and the expensive are the same feature, and that is the design. The instructor relationship deserves specific attention in the retention context because it is where the parasocial architecture connects most directly to the commercial one. When a subscriber has developed a genuine parasocial attachment to a specific instructor, looks forward to their classes, follows them on social media, and feels something when they perform well or struggle in an interview, that makes canceling their subscription not just canceling a service. It is making a choice about the relationship that they have with that instructor. And that relationship is one directional. But the person inside that relationship does not see it that way. But the platform knows this. And the instructor development process selects people who produce this specific quality of attachment. Because the attachment is retention, and retention is the revenue. When instructors leave the platform, whether it's voluntary or otherwise, the subscriber response is documented, and it is significant. Grief. Genuine grief. The kind associated with the loss of a meaningful relationship. The platform has occasionally experienced measurable churn spikes following certain instructors' departures. And the platform has documented this. But they still continue to build instructor parasocial relationships because the retention value of the attachment exceeds the churn risk of any departure. And the grief, it is a known cost of the design. And the design continues because the benefit exceeds the cost. You are both the beneficiary and the cost simultaneously. The total cost of the fitness bike relationship across a 3-year engagement, which is hardware, a subscription, accessories, the replacement parts, and the apparel that the community generates a market for, well, all of that averages somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000. That is not an obscured number. The numbers are available if you will just calculate them. But what is not calculated in the marketing is the psychological cost. The anxiety when the service is down, the identity disruption when an injury interrupts your practice, the specific grief of being between instructors, and the ongoing relationship with the sunk costs of hardware that you are not writing. These costs do not appear in any of their pricing materials. They only appear in the exits. And the exits, well, they will tell you more about the product and what it is, way more than the purchases ever do. So let's walk through some of the signs that you're in this one. You have described your fitness bike instructor to someone who does not have a fitness bike. And when you did that, you use language that belongs to more of a personal relationship, like their personality, their philosophy, or the specific way that they handle hard moments in class. And then you notice that you have never met them, and they don't know your name, or your face, or the fact that you even exist. And the noticing produces a very specific discomfort that you move past pretty quickly because the discomfort was uncomfortable, and the relationship with that instructor, well, that's useful. Another sign is you have reorganized a genuine social obligation. Something that was involving a person who does know you exist, who does know your face, and who does know your name, and who cares whether or not you show up. But you changed that around an instructor's class schedule, and you phrased it to yourself in a way that made it sound totally reasonable. And you knew when you were doing it that it was actually very unreasonable, but you did it anyway. Another sign is that you have felt something when your leaderboard position dropped during a class. Not a mild competitive interest, something way more activated than that. Something more in the range of urgency or a threat. And the fact that the ranking has no external meaning did not reduce that feeling for you, because that feeling arrived before the evaluation did. And that is what the leaderboard was designed to produce. And it produced it in you. Yet another sign is that you have recommended the platform to someone going through a genuinely hard time. And you did so using language that applied that it could do something the platform actually cannot do. And that is to provide the kind of human presence and genuine mutual care that a person going through a hard time actually needs. You meant well. The platform is a fitness product. As a matter of fact, it is an excellent fitness product. But it cannot sit with someone in the dark. And that is not a criticism of the platform. That is simply a useful distinction to maintain. And here's the last sign that I want you to look at. You have not ridden in 6 weeks. Your subscription is still active, but your bike is in the corner. And your guilt, it visits very reliably. And you are paying $44 a month for the relationship between yourself and the guilt that lives in that corner. That is not failure. That is a retention mechanism functioning exactly as it was designed. The fitness bike instructor is not a prophet in any negative sense. She is a talented fitness professional who is very good at a job that was designed with precision, and the precision serves as a business model, and the business model requires your continued subscription, and your continued subscription is most reliably produced when the relationship between you and her feels more than a service transaction. The instructor is performing a role, and that role was built for a specific purpose. The performance is genuine, but the purpose is commercial. And all of those things are true simultaneously. With the platform built, the combination of real community, real instruction, real motivation, and manufactured intimacy at scale is genuinely impressive. It took the architecture of religious experience and applied it to exercise. And that produced a fitness habit in a population for whom exercise had previously been inaccessible or unmaintainable. That is a real achievement. The achievement sits inside a commercial structure that engineers dependency rather than transferable skills, that makes belonging conditional on continued subscription, that locates both the credit for improvement and the blame for failure in the individual rider rather than in the design of the product. The achievement and the structure are the exact same thing, and you get both when you buy the bike. Know what $44 a month is buying. If it is buying genuine fitness and genuine community and a practice that improves your days, that is a reasonable price. If it is buying the option of those things, plus guilt about not using the option, plus a $2,000 piece of furniture and an identity that you are paying to maintain, well, that changes the math. And only you can do that math. The platform will not do it for you, because the platform has a very different interest in that outcome. I'm April Rain, and this could be your guru.